Chattering teeth. You heard it on cold nights, a gentle chattering, enamel on enamel. You live alone, of course. There is nobody else in the house who could be making the noise. At first you assumed it must be squirrels. You'd often heard their cries described as chattering. But when you checked online to see how squirrels sound, the noise you heard was nothing like this. It nagged at the back of your tired mind as you lay in the dark of your bedroom, desperately trying to fall asleep, the faint chatter of teeth so close, yet without any immediate indication of where it was coming from. You thought you must be hallucinating, the stress of your classes getting the better of you. After all, you were under quite a lot of pressure. Besides, you'd been isolated for so long, hadn't you? You'd been living alone in this old, empty house for months and months, without so much as a roommate for company. A hallucination, then. It was the most logical explanation. But she heard it too, didn't she? The woman you brought home, the one you met in your psychology class, she asked if you were feeling cold, and you told her no. She asked why you were chattering your teeth, and you said you weren't. Things got rather awkward after that, didn't they? You didn't want the chattering to be real. You didn't want to be sane. There was an argument, and the woman left. You cried long after she slammed the door behind her, and the chattering didn't stop. It took you an embarrassingly long time to figure out where the noise was coming from. After all, it suffused the entirety of the house except for the attic, and there was clearly nothing outside that was causing it. It was only logical that it must be coming from beneath the floor itself. You didn't even bother to ask the landlord. You knew he would say no or insist upon doing it himself, and that would have taken far too long for you, wouldn't it? You needed to know, and you had no more patience for waiting and listening. You purchased a pry bar and got to work, straining to pull off the board from a section of floor that you figured would be easy to repair afterwards. Grunting with the effort, you finally managed to wrench off the wooden board and peered down with your flashlight, staring with abject terror at what you found. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of us, emaciated, naked, shivering, curled up close against one another for warmth, our thousands of teeth chattering from the chill beneath the floorboards. I looked up at you, blinking from the harsh light. "Could you put the floorboard back, please?" I asked. "You're letting in a draft." Antimnemonic. It is late, and you are very, very tired. You are ready for a long night's sleep, and want nothing more at this exact moment than to simply lay your head on your pillow and drift off into the merciful embrace of unconsciousness. As you close your laptop and rise from your chair to begin the arduous journey to your bedroom, you hear an unpleasantly familiar scratching noise at the sliding glass door to the backyard. Your dog wants to go outside to mark his territory one last time for the evening. You groan, knowing that if you don't let him out, he will simply do his business within the house itself. You open the door to let him out. The dog bounds outside happily, excited for an opportunity to urinate on the same grass he always does, while you stand impatiently, waiting for him to come back inside once the whole affair is over and done with. He doesn't come back, though. It's been nearly 5 minutes now, and he's still out there. What on earth could be taking him so long? You call out for your dog to come back inside, whistling a few times for good measure. Usually this brings him galloping back in seconds, but after another 5 minutes of no dog, you begin to grumble curses to yourself and stomp your way outside, determined to drag the beast back inside if you have to. You really want to go to bed. You find your dog standing in front of the shed, staring intently at it. "Come on, you stupid," you start to say, before you notice why the dog is so focused on the shed. The shed door is open. You begin to realize you've never actually used the shed before, never even stepped foot inside it. It came with the property, and you've always been aware it was there, but for some reason you just never felt any need to investigate it. "Perhaps I've just been too busy," you think to yourself, but you know that's a lie. You know with absolute certainty you didn't open the door to the shed. This fills you with a deep, primal fear. The dog is still staring into the darkness within, and you notice only now that his tail is tucked firmly between his legs. You see something shift in the shadows. You can't tell what it is. It moves like nothing you've ever seen. It all happens in a flash. There is a yelp, the creaking of rusted hinges, then silence. You're confused why you're standing out in your backyard, staring at the closed door of your shed. You shuffle back inside, puzzled. "I must have been stargazing," you think to yourself. On the way inside, you trip on something. You swear and look down at the offending object, a dog bowl. You wonder where it came from. After all, you've never owned a dog. The Tin Man's Game. Your mommy kisses you good night, and you want to ask her to take you with her. You don't want to be alone, but you're too old now to sleep in Mommy and Daddy's bed. You have to be a big girl. But when he comes at night, every night, you don't feel like a big girl. You feel very, very small indeed. He takes his time. He wants to give you a chance to fall asleep first, so that when he wakes you up it will be a surprise. You manage to keep your eyes open, to avoid lapsing into unconsciousness. You're not ready for him, you never are, but at the very least he won't be catching you off guard this time. It takes an immense amount of effort to stay awake. You've been getting so little sleep ever since you moved here, ever since Mommy and Daddy stopped letting you sleep in their bed. You hear his laughter first, like always. It's a game to him, you see, a joke, and the way he giggles and guffaws, you'd think it the funniest in the whole wide world. He laughs like a creaky door, rusty and harsh and grating against your tired ears, loud and terrible amidst the silence of the night. You always wonder why Mommy and Daddy don't hear him. You listen carefully to find where he is coming from this night. Sometimes he comes out from under the bed, and you have to stand on your mattress with the hobby horse and try to keep him from climbing up to get you. Sometimes his mocking voice comes from the closet, and you must spend all night holding the door shut with all your strength, till the golden rays of dawn send him back to wherever things like him go during the day. Tonight his laughter drips down from the grate on the wall. He is in the ventilation duct. His giggles turn to words just as rusty and sharp and metallic as his laughs. "Come and play with me, pretty girl. Come and play with the Tin Man." By the faint illumination of the night light you can see his face peeking from behind the grate, his sharp, razor-blade teeth, tarnished and jagged, eyes like dull pennies, barbed wire hair writhing like snakes. He lifts a creaking, oxidized hand and begins to unscrew the grate, working to remove the thin barrier keeping you from him. It's a game to him, always a game. You spend the rest of the night frantically tightening and retightening the screws, crying as your fingers bleed from the sharp metal, all while he laughs and laughs and laughs. After hours and hours of this panicked, painful game, The sun begins to come up, and the Tin Man scrapes his way back to wherever he goes during the day, and as he crawls away his creaking voice says, "I had so much fun, pretty girl. I can't wait to play more tomorrow."